Hey, also yesterday I was in Alterac Valley and this guy messages me saying, "Hey, love the videos. When's the next video coming out?" I say, "Well, what do you want to know?" He asked about Blackwing Lair BIS. So this is what I would call the best in slot, high threat gear for going into Blackwing Lair. So I have a lot of this, but not all of it. Like I don't have the Onslaught Girdle, I don't have the Curia, so I have to make some modifications to get hit. But this is what your best would be to go into BWL. Definitely as an off race, probably even as an orc. For human, you'd be using Kelsarar and Mira Song, maybe Might Gauntlets, but even daggers for humans are acceptable in the Molten Core phase and going into Blackwing Lair. If you've had a crazy amount of daggers drop and a ton of H-Core leather gloves drop, you might, as a human, be using some of these items. You might be using Kelsarar main hand, Corehound 2 offhand with H-Core leather gloves and kind of using a sword and a dagger. Anyways, let's talk about what gear out of Blackwing Lair is even good. We're going to go over the Rancor gear. We're going to go over the tier set and all the other little nice juicy pieces. And then we're going to kind of go week by week of what kind of gear. You know, what kind of gear do you want to go after week one? Because there is really good gear that could drop, but it might not be really usable until you get other pieces that are not even unlocked yet, like the rank 13 gear. So we're going to talk about like every couple weeks, what's the gear going to look like. So let's do it. So obviously Thunder Fury becomes available. Finally, it's fantastic. The proc allows you to not have to worry about doing Thunderclap on those hard-hitting bosses. It gives you a bit of fire resist and nature resist for the future rage, is always cool. And the proc does 300 damage, and that is going to be affected by the Defiance. So it's going to be generating like, I don't know, 350 threat or something. My math is not great. You also have an AoE proc that slows, and that generates threat as well. And it does another debuff that reduces the nature resistance. Not that that does anything, but that also generates AoE threat. So it has 3 instances of single target threat and 2 instances of AoE threat. So it's pretty cool. But I will give solutions for people who don't have it. I have one binding, I might not get another one. Let's talk about the tier set. Everything's just a bit of an upgrade over Might. Wrath, more strength, more stamina. This is probably one of the only pieces of Wrath you'll really use, however. Breastplate is nice for a little bit of fire resistance on the fire bosses. The gloves, you're only really ever going to use these like a tanking patchwork where you just really want to stack avoidance. Helm of Wrath is cool and all for, you know, if you need some chonky gear on some certain bosses, but a lot of this stuff is going to get depreciated by the Rancor gear. Now the Rancor gear doesn't come out right away. These shoulders are nice for fire resistance. Same with the Wrath boots for some fire resistance as an option. The Wrath belt is the weakest piece of the set, and you're probably never going to wear it. Now check out the Rancor gear. This is not available until several weeks after Blackwing Lair releases, and then you still have to do the ranking. So after Blackwing Lair releases, it might be like 6 weeks before you can get this gear, but it's what you're going to want to use. And you're probably going to use all 6 pieces of it, regardless of your race. So these pieces have more armor than the Wrath pieces. You see how the armor is in green? It's like bonus. It's like got bonus armor on it. And what do you want is Fury Prot? Strength, stamina, and agility. And then these also have hit and crit and set bonuses. So the 20 stamina set bonus you're always going to want for the rest of the game if you can get this gear. What pieces would you use? If you're only going to use 2 pieces, my favorite is going to be the shoulders. They just look so iconic. And then you're going to use, I like the boots with movement speed for when you're not world buffed with ZG, eventually when ZG comes out. And then you'll eventually get chromies, and we'll talk about that. And then your other piece would be the legs, although the some people do shoulder and helmet because the helmet is so similar to other stuff. But if you're a human, you're going to use the full set because then you can get the 40 attack power bonus, which is just monumental. So a human will use the full set. An orc will want to get axes, and they'll use the full set. And if you're using daggers, you can use the full set and a mugger's belt with the 5 dagger skill. Now, when you get Thunder Fury, then it's like, okay, now I got to use Edge Masters if you're not a human. But until then, you're going to use the whole freaking set. It's just amazing. What else do you get from this raid? Life-Giving Gem. On bosses where you might take a really big hit, Life-Giving Gem is like that second last stand. You can sometimes, like some people like to use this, especially on Horde. They like to pop it running into the boss and then switch it out for something else, just so you have 20 seconds of extra health on pull. But if you use this during a boss fight, it heals you, and healing generates threat. Not a ton, but it does generate some threat. Maladaf, this would be only for human warriors. No other warriors will benefit from this sword. Drake Talon Pauldrons, they're fantastic. Strength, agility, stamina with dodge. But if you're getting Rancor gear, this kind of gets outclassed. Drake Fang Talisman, we're going to go over how with some setups, this hit really makes your life easy. And the dodge is cool too. This gun is the best gun you're going to get for a long time. Agility for crit, dodge, and stamina. And it looks badass. Circle of Applied Force. Strength, agi, stamina. Sure, it's good for DPS too. But this ring is pretty much best in slot threat ring for end of the game. Chromies, strength, agi, stamina, hit. They're amazing. They got those purple boots. But the Rancor boots are very comparable. Chonky Shield. I would prio this to someone who's not ranking to 14. The head, I'd probably pass this for a while to DPS warriors. Got a really nice DPS ring here. This is a pretty cool tank neck, but like you can get other decent ones. So get it eventually, but it's not that big a deal. Arkham Tyros Ring of Reckoning. You could use this along with the Circle of Applied Force, or if you need a hit ring, use that as your other hit ring. And then you can swap this in Circle of Applied Force for if you need a chonky 28 stamina ring versus a more high threat ring. Finally, we have Helm of Endless Rage. This is really good. You could say it's better than the rank 13 helmet because it has agility instead of crit, which gives you dodge, armor, and crit. But let's put this all together and see what I think is the best. All right, so now that we've talked about all the different gear that we're going to have access to, and let's start putting it on. We're going to look at off races, orcs, humans, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of the first couple pieces of gear that are direct upgrades, we're going to look at obviously Bracers of Wrath. And they just have more stamina, a little more strength. You could enchant this with stamina or strength, depending on what you feel you need. Wrath Boots. Just a slight upgrade. And it's got some fire resistance. I think the big gear is rings and trinkets. Circle of Applied Force is just absolutely huge. You also have access to Arcantiros Ring of Reckoning. Now, you might not wear both of these at the same time. You might opt to switch these two rings out. Circle of Applied Force when you want high threat, and if you need more stamina, you might say, okay, I'm gonna use the Arcantiros Ring of Reckoning. But you could use both. They're both really good rings. We of course have the gun. And then Drakefang Talisman. So these pieces of gear are the only pieces of gear that you could realistically equip without probably losing set bonuses. Like, you're not going to wear the Wrath Helm, you're not going to wear the Wrath Shoulders. So these are the first pieces of gear that I would try to get my hands on. But then after a couple weeks, this is when Warrior's really going to come online, and we can start to go after the Ranker gear. I suppose we'll talk about Thunder Fury first, because you could get a Thunder Fury, right? So let's say we get our Thunder Fury. You can get Thunder Fury first week if you're lucky with the Elementium ore drops, or you might have to wait a week or two more. So let's just say I have Thunder Fury. I'm going to put Edge Masters on, Thunder Fury, and Corehound Tooth. Eventually, you would use, if you're a human, Maladath, or a rank 14 weapon if you get a rank 14 weapon. Like, I might use the... well, we'll do that later, because we don't have High Warlord unlocked yet. But let's say you get rank 12, right? You get your Thunder Fury, you put Edge Masters on, now you get rank 12. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your rank 12 boots on, because they're just freaking amazing. You're going to put your rank 12, where is it? Legs on. And now you've got the 20 stamina bonus over here, and you've got the 40 attack power bonus over here. If you're a human, you could wear or an orc, and you happen to have axes, you could wear the Ranker gloves, of course. But this is what I would be having for now. And then when I hit rank 13, this is when we're going to be putting on all of this amazing gear for free. You would replace your Savage Gladiator chain because the armor is so much more, and you get more stamina, and you just lose one crit. It's a no-brainer. And then you'd use this, and then you would start to go for some of the off pieces, because General's boots are great, but you might say, okay, I'm going to go for the Chromies. Just for a little less stamina, but more crit. It's a very slight change. And then Helm of Endless Rage. And I think that's everything. Of course, if you need to be a little bit more defensive, you got the Life-Giving Gem. And then rank 14 comes out, and you can put on... where's our High Warlord's Swift Blade? And that's your best gear, pretty much. It gives us 7% hit. Yeah, that's kind of the best you can get. Now, as an off race who doesn't have Thunder Fury, what you're then going to probably want to use are daggers. And so we can get our High Warlords. What is it called? So you would use 2 rank 14 daggers, and then you would put your Ranker gear on for the full set, and then you would use a Mugger's belt. And then we would want to put on the rest of our set, so we would go back to our Warlords, is that the full set? And then the boots, because even though Chromies have a bit of agility extra, General's boots, you're going to have the 40 attack power bonus. So this here would be your best in slot if you do not have a Thunder Fury and you are an off race. So you're going to use daggers with the Mugger's Belt. But of course, you would use axes if you're an orc, and you would use swords if you're a human. But then if you get Thunder Fury on a human, it would just be, you know, your Thunder Fury and a sword, and you would still use the whole set. Humans are broken that way. But anyone else would need to use Edge Masters to be able to use Thunder Fury. And yeah, so I hope that makes sense. The times you're going to use the full set, the times you're only going to use a couple pieces, and you're going to use the Helm of Endless Rage because it has the agility and whatnot. But let me know if you have any questions. And that's essentially your BIS. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a sub and a comment. Catch me live on my Twitch channel, Dwarf Lord TV, to connect with me or say hi to me in game on any of my characters. Dwarf Lord out.
And they say that the Dwarf Lord could save us. I'm not gonna pave here and wait. I'll hold on to the beard of the Dwarf Lord. Watch as we